Welcome to Sollu Kaburz podcast episode on the crisis in Afghanistan. And to talk about that, with me is a former BBC Persian journalist who worked in Afghanistan, Nasrin Nawa, to tell us about the situation on the ground because she just escaped the fall of Kabul. She just arrived in US just before I think got worse in her hometown, and we are going to talk all about the situation over there. Nasreen, thank you very much for doing this. Welcome to the podcast, and much condolences to your people of what they're going through. And
Thank you.
I wonder how you're doing now.
I don't know how I'm doing now because it's just a mixture of feelings, but mostly hopeless and so desperate about my family and people who are losing any hope and anything they built in the last 2 decades. It's not just about houses, jobs, and a materialistic thing. Their plans, their hopes, their love, everything is just ruined right now, and they're seeking a safe place no matter where and no matter how.
I was watching your interviews on CBS. I believe I've seen your opinion post on Washington Post. So you've spoken a lot about this. So we're not going to get deep into that, but just in a very brief manner, right? So you were in Afghanistan maybe a couple of days ago before the siege happened on August 15th, and you just escaped. So, and your family is left behind now, of course. So what can you just tell us a little bit about the situation of what you've been through?
Um, Last 2 months was not easy for Afghans because Taliban were approaching Kabul somehow. They were capturing so many provinces. Almost 1/3 of Afghanistan was captured with them. And it was something unpredictable because in some provinces they were getting the control without any single bullet. People were giving up. Soldiers were giving up because uh, it was an order. Somehow we right now know that it was planned. And yeah, that time was so difficult. We were thinking something bad is happening, but the last 2 weeks was even worse because of the fight and clash and displaced people that were suffering. Everything was just happening so quick, but we were not imagining their complete takeover. It was something like impossible for us. We were thinking we will fight, we will sacrifice our lives, we will continue this, but we will not accept to live under their dark regime. But it happened because of the political deal behind the scene. And we were so desperate to last week to find a way for temporarily stay in a safe place. My sister applied for some visas as India visa. She traveled to India like 6 or 7 times before,
Right.
but she got rejected. We were doing business with India. We had deals, we had contracts there. We were working with companies, but we didn't get that visa just because we were seeking a place, a safe place for a while. We didn't want to stay in India or any other country. If we wanted to, my father was working with Americans. We were eligible to apply for SIV in 2020, even 2012, sorry, 2012. And we didn't apply because we were making our life better in Afghanistan and we loved to stay there. But everything was just a mess in a blink, and my sister was in danger. She's a journalist, she's a cyclist, she's a businesswoman, she's an artist, and none of them are acceptable for Taliban fighters.
Right.
So it was so difficult, and I was thinking that I'm a betrayer, that I'm leaving my family behind in such a bad situation, especially my sister, who deserves to be in a safe place after that much struggling as a young woman in that society, traditional society.
How did this all happened suddenly though, like for at least for people from outside, right, outside of the country? What did we miss here? Why did it feel so sudden and just so quick? Because all of a sudden in a day, Kabul was in their hands, and the president was out and the airport was sealed. And how did it come to this situation exactly on this day of August 15th, right? What was the entire world missing, you know?
I believe, as I said, it was a political decision by the big powers in the world, and it was not a decision from Afghans. I watched a video that a soldier is grieving, is crying so bad. A man in Afghanistan doesn't cry, and he was crying and saying that no matter even our president is gone, I will not give up. I will fight. I will not give my gun to you. It was their commander that insisting you should give your gun to me, and it's done. We are giving up because it's an order. And he was crying that I will not do this. It shows that our security forces didn't give up by their own. There was an order, and President Ghani just yesterday said that our colleague in West told me that you should get out of the country, otherwise there will be a bloodshed in Afghanistan, and a repetition of this story.
Right.
His story, sorry. Yeah, and so I think that it was something planned even months ago, and the president was aware maybe 1 week, or I don't know, but he was somehow aware, the close circle of the president, but people were not aware that
Exactly.
they are stealing our country, they are selling us.
Yeah. What is the mood and the situation now? Like, are you in contact with anyone at all in the country? Like, how are the women feeling over there? I saw one line in your article that really struck me, was that you were asking your sister to break the guitar so that, you know, to escape the wrath of Taliban, who hate art and who hate women who express themselves, right? So panic is the name of the mood in the streets right now.
Yeah, they are all in a trauma. Even the strongest friends I had, that they were telling me that we will never leave our country, are so disappointed. When I talk to them, they are crying or just silent, and it's so different. I have never seen them in such a mood. It's just breaking me, and yeah, they are not. They don't dare to go out. The Taliban are not standing out of their houses, but they don't have this courage to go out because they don't want to see any bad scene, or they don't want any bad thing happen to them, like beating or yeah.
What about the future of people like journalists, or someone who worked for the government, the former translators, the former army members, right? So you are saying that they didn't abandon by choice; they were abandoned by order, right? But they abandoned that order with no guarantee for the future, right? So what is going to happen to them? What's the word?
Taliban's already raided some soldiers' houses, pilots' houses, commandos. They are in high risk right now, and they are just hiding. We don't know what is gonna happen to them, because Taliban will never forgive people who were fighting with them. Actually, they are not the people who should forgive, because we were the people who were victims. But soldiers, journalists, activists, artists, they're all in danger. And you may watch the video that the national TV presenter went back to the work, and they didn't allow her and told her, we don't need any more female presenter here.
Yes.
It's happening all around Afghanistan, that women are deprived of their rights, and human rights is violating by Taliban.
Right. What is Taliban like doing to legitimize themselves, right? So they're saying that, you know, women won't be harmed, they'll be involved in the government, you can go ahead, work as your nurse, as the presenter. You know, they even allowed a couple of protests. I don't know if that was a PR move. So what is it doing to legitimize themselves, and can we believe them?
No, no, we can't believe them. They are trying so hard to put a mask on their face and show something else to people because they need international legitimacy and support. They need even people support. And I think that's something temporary and it will be all gone once they are settled. They have the complete power and they don't need the international support anymore. I think it is happening. It's not something that we say, yeah, they are trying to behave good and with courtesy with people who are passing by with their cars and don't bother them. It's somehow happening, but not everywhere. In some points, they had some fights and discussions and something happened, but the problem is there's no one to cover these things. I just saw a video of a friend that she was trying to capture what's going on around the airport, and a Talib just attacked her and said, "Close your camera." And I don't know what he was saying, but it was like shouting and uh, hitting on the window. So
Right.
they don't allow us to show the reality to the world. That's the problem.
So was life kind of okay under the American occupation? What were you allowed to do? What are you going to miss? I mean, eventually it is an occupation and you have been held against your will. But was there something that Afghans are going to miss after the Taliban capture?
Of course, yes. We were in war. Even in these last 2 decades, we lost so many loved ones. I lost friends, and my friends lost their family members, and it's not easy. But at least we had somehow a normal life that we were able to educate. We were able to work. We were able to empower women. We had women in leadership, we had women in business, we had police women, we had cyclist girls, we had footballist girls, and all these
You
are.
yourself are a cyclist, aren't you?
Yeah, I am a member of the national team. I'm also the women development director of the federation.
Right.
But I just talked with some members yesterday, and they were just trying to find a way to get out of the country. They are free birds who were bringing peace on Kabul streets by riding their bikes, but now they are not even able to walk on the streets.
Right.
So they're in danger. Everyone else is in danger who is not adjustable with the Taliban rules.
Right. That goes to show the misconception, right? Like some kind of people, especially the right wings of various countries, believe that, Afghans are kind of okay with Taliban takeover. They love the Islamic regime, which is not the case. When you take a look at the airport and the number of people who was there trying to leave, and especially that little scene where they were trying to hang on to a flight and a bunch of people, slipped and fell down. And all of these scenes, it's such a misconception that people are kind of okay with the Taliban takeover. Maybe some city, some province, random province, but it's not the sentiment of the majority of the Afghans, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe that we cannot ignore the minority that think like Taliban. We have such people. If there was no one like that, the Taliban were not be able to reach here. For example, in our national TV, they supported the Taliban, and if they didn't, if they were not thinking like them, they could at least not go back to the work. So I believe we have them, but they are not the majority. Just look at the Nangarhar province. I wrote this on my Twitter as well, that Nangarhar is a province that if you go in a normal day in the democratic system that we had, you're not able to see a young woman with makeup and some modern clothes. Yeah. So even those people are not happy with Taliban. It shows that we don't want them in any area of Afghanistan. And Afghan people believe in Islam. They are Muslims, but we had an Islamic regime. It was Islam Republic Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. So we were living in an Islamic regime, and we didn't have such problems, such big religious problem. Everything was just about the corruption, nothing more, like corruption and discrimination. And it was because of our leaders were not united. We accept we had so many political troubles that led us to this point, but it's not just because of that.
And how cruel were the Americans while they were leaving, right? So they betrayed them basically. They had no courtesy to accept refugees or evacuate them, and they blocked the airport to evacuate themselves first, and then suspend all the flights and just leave them in limbo. And even in the state of defeat, even in the state of withdrawal, just this pride and this headweight, the way they put themselves on a higher pedestal, even in the face of defeat, is just, it's beyond words.
Yeah, it feels so bad that we are abandoned, we are betrayed. We were people who lost loved ones. We were people who sacrificed in. We were people who were living in a trauma that everything bad may happen, like an explosion or like a target killing. But at the end, we are who are not able to find a safe place. Foreigners were safe in the recent year because they had a shameful deal with Taliban in Doha. So there was nothing bad happening to them. It's so bad. But yeah, we appreciate the evacuation plan of the United States, but it's not enough. It's now the crisis happened. Now we are at the stage that we should just manage the crisis. But the United States was able to prevent this crisis, such a big thing.
A crisis they started.
Yeah, they started, and now they should manage it somehow, which is not manageable right now. It's the least thing that they can do. But how many people they will take out of the country, and what will happen to our homeland after the evacuation? Because every wise man will be out of the country, and there is no one against Taliban anymore. So there will be another time a country with terrorist groups and so many threats to the world, not just the area.
Right. How did you feel about the American media reaction? Is there any sense of criticism towards what the American government is doing? Because when I was a kid back in 2001, I used to remember seeing Americans just jump USA, USA, all that gymnastic tone that the American media had when the US was just first occupying the Afghanistan, right? So now, is there a sense of criticism towards the administration, a sense of regret of what they've done for the past 20 years, the way they've wasted money and the lives more importantly?
Yeah, I think so. I see a huge range of criticism among Americans media, not just Americans, everywhere else in the world, maybe except some countries around us. But yeah, people are criticizing the United States, medias are criticizing, just because I believe that for the United States national interest, it was a right decision to withdraw, and some people praise it, and they should do it. But it was not the right thing and the right time to do. So I think, yeah, they wasted their time, because we are again in that point that we were 2 more decades ago. By this difference that we sacrificed a lot, and we lost so many good people in this war. And if they were, just imagine that the Afghans forces were trained with international forces, with the United States soldiers. So after 2 decades, they were not able to fight with Taliban, and Taliban were able to take over the country in just a couple of days. If it's happening, so yeah, of course they wasted their time. What were they doing in just 20 years in Afghanistan?
What are your thoughts on like the way the entire world kind of turned its back on your country, right? Not too many countries are coming forward to take
Yeah.
the refugees from your country. Look, it just goes to show that unless there is oil or some resource, the Western world is not going to, open its arms, isn't it? It's just everybody has the only best friend is the mutual interest.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, we believe we were abandoned by the world because we were screaming on social media badly in just 2 weeks ago that something is happening and you should prevent it. The international community, the United Nations, the United States, but they were just silent. And when it all happened, now they are trying to show they care, and it's not enough. It doesn't work. Like I don't know how to say it in English. We have an idiom in Persian that, like, I don't know. Do you know henna? Something that girls put on their
Yes,
hands.
Mehndi. Yes. Yep.
What's that in English?
No idea. Henna. Let's just say it's henna.
Yeah,
Right?
okay. So yeah, we have an idiom that says we don't need a henna after Eid. It doesn't work after Eid. Eid is over. So why you are
Right.
doing this? So yeah, now it's happening that it's over. Yeah, what are you doing now? You should have planned all these things before this crisis happened.
Right, right. What is the future of this country now? Like, what miracle should happen for the normality to return to Afghanistan again? So, what do you foresee? Are the Taliban going to rule forever? Do they really have the power to rule forever? Do you have any hopes on like the Northern Alliance? Are they going to come back? There will be some resistance, maybe a civil war. Like, what are your hopes?
It's difficult to anticipate what's gonna happen in Afghanistan because too many scenarios are possible right now. That the first vice president, announced the war. The previous president actually said, "I'm gonna return," and Taliban are trying to have a complete power and announce official their government. The United States is trying to just finish everything. It's it is just bored of anything, and they don't want to interfere so much that with so much responsibility. But I believe that the international community, the world, should not keep a blind eye on Afghanistan. They should be very attentive, not just because of our country, because it's a threat to the world, to the area. And if they monitor the situation, keep an eye on the current affairs in Afghanistan, and talk with Taliban,
Right.
and like sign a deal as they did in Doha. It's not something very difficult for them. Sign a deal with them. Okay, at the end, you are the people who got the victory. We agree, but let's have a deal that you will not violate this law, and you will not be a threat to Afghans. It's enough. They have the deal to not be a threat for the United States and its allies. Now it's our turn, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely. Well, Nasrin, I think your message really resonates to everyone of our listeners and viewers, and I hope something will get better in your country, at least for your family, if they can get out, and many other families who deserve to get out. But eventually, the country in itself deserves to be in a better place than it is right now. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for listening to us.
That's it from this podcast. Till we see you next time with another episode. Bye, everyone.